Oh no, I didn't eat that night. I just drank. No, that's not true, because then after it was all over, this was just after midnight. We went and walked the floor before it was open, talking to people as they were setting up, which is chaotic, so we just tried to stay out of people's way if they were too busy. Noah introduced me to a bunch of people who won't remember me, and I wouldn't remember them. And then we went to the little Marriott near there and got drinks. Bumped into Diana the Rose. Bumped into like Nikki Goober's Nikki. Bumped into Sachi. And then finally around midnight, excused myself and was just like super hungry. So Pete walked with me to an Asian food hall where I got some bulgogi, and some kimchi and a little California roll and some takoyaki. And then I ate that for dinner. Woke up the next day, went down to a little deli in downtown Philly called Good Day For You, like for you. And it was this like deli that was like breakfast sandwiches and cheesesteaks, but also like poke bowls run by this old Asian couple. Had them make me an egg, cheese, and scrapple sandwich that I covered with salt, pepper, and ketchup. It was very good. Walked down to the floor, did the laps with Noah. I'll cover all the food and then I'll talk about the business. For lunch, Noah took us to a place called El Vez. He did a Forgotten Paths lunch with Diana the Rose, Raven, Sachi, Sam, Ed Spence, Robert, and Noah, and me. Yeah, it was good. It was great to see Raven. We did fundito, queso fundito, one with mushroom, one with chorizo. We did this dish that was like almost like a ceviche, but it was like shrimp and tomatillos and like a chili sauce. Very fresh. I was the only one who ate it. And then I did blackened charred cod fish tacos and a margarita. God, what did we do for dinner that night? That's crazy. I already feel like I've forgotten most everything that happened. Oh shit, that's right. I had a bit of a food adventure that night, so I decided Noah kept pounding into my head over and over and over again. Noah was like, I've got this really big, fuck you. I got this really big, hoity-toity fancy pants dinner that I don't think I can get you into. So Noah kept saying, I got this fancy pants dinner, I can't get you in, I'm so sorry. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I didn't even know about it, so I can't be disappointed. I was like, it's Philadelphia. I've got my own, things to do. So he goes to this dinner, and I got all excited. This is the beginning of a huge food quest, chat, and I gotta walk you through all of it. I decided I'm going to Angelo's. Angelo's is a place that has recently been kind of crowned the best cheesesteak in Philly. It didn't exist when I lived there and is right next to my old apartment. So I was like, shit, dude, I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna get nostalgic and I'm gonna walk down past mine and Amber's first apartment together. And then I'm gonna go get this cheesesteak for dinner. So anyway, I start walking down towards the old apartment. And as I'm getting down there, I'm like, shit, this place closes in like 10 minutes. And then I realized it was cash only. And I didn't have any cash, so I stopped in at a 7-Eleven. I realized I don't know the pins to either one of my debit cards, which is fine because I didn't have my business debit card. And I tried to use my personal debit card. I don't know the pin to that one. I got a replacement card with a temporary pin, and I never changed it, and I certainly didn't memorize it. I haven't taken money out on a debit card in years. So I got flustered. And I got pissy because I just didn't have that many meal slots and I had so many things I wanted to do while I was in Philly and it just felt like maybe that one had fallen through the cracks. So I went and saw the old apartment anyway because I didn't know if I was going to be back in that area and I'd already walked most of the way there. I'm on my way back and I was like, you know what? I could go for a slice. Like I really feel like a slice would hit just right. How do I use the card? Then the store's always actually. I never use debit.
Denizen of the cave.
I never make purchases on debit. Why would I not get points on any card?
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
If I'm making purchases for the company or on a company trip, it goes on the American Express card. If I'm making purchases for my wife and I, everything that's food or grocery related, we've got one card for that. Everything else, there's a MasterCard for that. And if we make purchases on Amazon, we got a card for that. And all of them are max return on points. So I haven't used a debit card in like 4 years. I pep talked the Panthers yesterday. The Carolina Panthers were staying at our hotel and they were loading up the buses as we were getting ready to go to the train station. And I don't know what players I talked to. I just saw some 6'6" dudes and I was like, hey, as a Cowboys fan, you guys would be doing me a huge solid if you kick the shit out of the Eagles today. That got a chuckle. Worst pep talk ever. They damn near pulled it off. I'd like to think it's because I talked to them. Apparently, I should have talked to Leggett about holding on to a game-winning touchdown pass in the end zone. It's a shame the Cowboys were disbanded. I would have loved to have watched them play football tonight. So anywho, I'm on my way back from my old apartment in Philadelphia, and I stop off at this place, Polly G's Slice Shop. The Soul City Slice Shop, aka the Polly G Slice Shop. And I was like, yeah, I like the idea of an unpretentious pizza shop. Yeah. And I gotta say, I ate the pizza in a weird way, and we'll get to that in a second. But I saw they had kind of Detroit style pie, and then they had New York style pie. So I grabbed a pepperoni Detroit slice that had cut pepperoni on it. And then I grabbed a cheese slice and a sausage slice that were New York style. Yeah, there's the sausage. That shit was good. I mean, the Freddy pepperoni was good too, which is this one right here. So, no, Celeste. So I get these things in a Polly G box. You know, I get my little to-go box. That's got this guy on the front, and I'm carrying my to-go box back. It for the time that we were there, it almost never got above freezing, and it was windy as shit. So I'm walking my pizza box back, trying to get it back to the hotel before my pizza gets cold. I got a Mexican Coke tucked inside my jacket pocket, and as I'm walking back to the hotel, I check my phone because for a second I get a little bit disoriented about where the hotel is. Because it's on a different part of downtown than I really spent time in. I go to check my phone and I've got like 9 missed messages from Noah. Phone, call my phone, missed call, text from Noah, call my phone, Discord, phone, different Discord group, Taffy, phone, different Discord group, Taffy, phone, Discord DMs, Taffy, phone. So I call Noah and he goes, hey man, I got you into that fancy pants dinner, but it's in like 15 minutes. And I was like, bro, I am on the other side of town carrying a fucking pizza box and a Mexican Coke. In your mind, what am I to do? And he was like, I don't know, throw it away. And I was like, it's like you've never met me. I'd sooner truck all 3 of these slices in transit and then eat dinner. I spent my grown-up money on this, and I want it so bad. It was really good. I only got to eat 1 bite of each while it was hot. But it turned out that the place that he wanted me to go to, this like fancy pants dinner, was literally right across the street from our hotel. So I went to the hotel, I put all this stuff in the fridge after taking 1 bite of each slice hot. They were all very good hot. They were fine cold, but they were so much better warm. I go across the street to this fancy pants Italian restaurant where like, you know how Nate and I used to do Disapproving Owls? It was like that, but for the tabletop industry. I got invited to the premier dinner at Pax at this like incredibly fancy Italian joint. I gotta tell you, the company was exceptional. The people hosting it were incredibly gracious. I had a couple of glasses of wine and was like getting my credit card ready to like pay for my drinks at least, and whole bill taken care of. So it was a really large 60-person dinner that was taken care of by a couple of individuals who just like knowing all the coolest people in the industry and me. I was not super impressed with the food. Wild. They started us off with a burrata and a little bruschetta. No balsamic, so there was no acid to cut through it all. Just very rich. The only acid was in the tomato. So like the only thing that cut through the richness of it all was the light bit of acid in the tomato and then the fresh basil that was on top. They served, after that, the second course was a perfectly fine arancini. A single arancini. I was talking to a dude who published a book in the D&D space. He was also apparently a fullback for the Cleveland Browns at one point. And so he and I were talking and catching up. And turns out he went to UNLV, I went to Boise State, and UNLV and Boise State were playing in the Mountain West Championship game while we were at this dinner, so we were watching it on my phone. But he ran out of time because dinner service was like 3.5 hours. It was crazy. I got seated at like 7. I left that place at like 10:40. And so there were a handful of people who just didn't make it through the meal because they had other things they had to go to. So my man across from us just goes, "Hey man, I gotta go. You can have my pasta dish when it comes out if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, sounds good."
Braciole.
That is not right. Braciole. So I ordered the braciole, which is a veal, it was like a veal. They said veal medallions. It was like a veal cylinder in a tomato sauce on some parpadella. I was very excited. I'd never had braciole before. I ate the meat out of it and then didn't eat the rest. The sauce was dull. The yeah, Taffy, you're on the frijoles. The sauce was kind of dull. The meat was under-seasoned. I ate the veal because I felt like I needed to truck the protein, but I did not feel compelled to finish the pasta. You guys know how I must have felt about it to have sent food back to be thrown away. We were at the Mexican place that Noah paid for, and I saw tacos that got left on the table to be tossed, and I was like, yo, somebody get another to-go box. I'm taking other people's leftovers. And I talked myself out of it because I thought it would be too awkward. Because I saw like a couple of like a carnitas taco and some enchiladas and stuff like that. And I was just like, fuck me, dude, there's a whole meal worth of food that's just going to go in the garbage. And I had to just like calm myself down and be like, these are your peers. Don't make an asshole out of yourself. If they didn't want to eat, they don't have to eat. Noah's paying for it. Ooh, calm yourself. But I was like sweating. I was sweating at the idea of food being thrown away. This pasta at this high-end restaurant, I went, nah, I'm good. You can toss that. Like, I was just like, this isn't worth the calories. Now, that said, the fullback / D&D publisher who was sitting across from me ordered just like a beef ragu on tagliatelle. And that shit was pretty good. The tomatoes were tangy. The cheese on it was sharp. The meat was rich. The noodles were lovely and al dente. I wish I'd gotten 2 plates of that. The braciole was not good. Yeah, tagliatelle goes hard. It is such a great toothy pasta for grabbing sauce. I had a recipe that called for it the first time I made bolognese. And when I made it, it was like, it's a very dense, thick sauce, so you need something that's gonna grab the sauce on the way up. So tagliatelle is fucking amazing for that. So I did finish a whole plate of pasta, but it just wasn't mine. And then their dessert was exceptional. It was this house-made gelato. My teeth, man. I had a scoop of salted caramel and a scoop of pistachio. And they were both excellent. And every third tiny bite I took, the ice-cold gelato would touch these new teeth, and it would feel like somebody was stabbing me in the head. It hurt so bad. So combined between the two, I ate like 1 scoop of gelato and had to throw my hands up. So this leads us back to our sandwich adventure, our sandwich quest. I wake up the next day. I have renewed urgency about getting Angelo's. I remember that even though I don't know the PIN to my personal debit card, that I do have Chase Banks, because my personal banking, little local mid-Atlantic bank. Closest one probably was 400 miles away. So I'm shit out of luck there. I do my business banking through Chase. Chase banks are fucking everywhere. I'm gonna go pull out some petty cash. So I go in and I'm like, surely I changed the PIN on my business debit. There's an ATM right next to my hotel. I go into the ATM, I pop up my wallet, no Chase debit card. Fuck. That's okay, it's attached to a bank that's open. I go into the bank, it's a wealth management center, not a bank. Not a bank. The only place with a teller that could have talked to me, verified my identity, and then given me some petty cash out of my business checking account. 4 miles on foot in the wrong direction and closed in about an hour. At this point, I am freaking out. I am so angry that I'm not going to be able to get Angelo's. And because I didn't, because I had decided I was going to stick inside the city and try to get Angelo's, this, Josh Weissman, the Jolly Boys, a handful of people have just called it the best cheesesteak in all of Philly. I skipped out on an opportunity to go with Lucid and Evie to go get John's Roast Pork, which I also had never had before, which is Philadelphia's other great sandwich. Now I am fuming. I'm in downtown Philly walking angry figure eights. I head towards Noah and the con. I get to the con. I had vented in Discord. Lucid goes, dude, I'm going to bring you John's Roast Pork. I was like, that's very cool of you. And he goes, we'll bring it by the hotel in about 20 minutes. And I was like, I just got the con, but fuck it. I'll walk back, which is like a mile the wrong direction. But I was like, screw it. It is way better than nothing. As I'm standing there venting to Noah, Noah goes, I feel really weird. You're mad and it's not at me. And I was like, this is bizarre. I want so badly to put this on you, but none of this is your fault. I was so confused. We both sat there and I put my hand on his shoulder and I was like, I want to be pissed at you so bad, but none of this is your fault. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it your fault. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm kind of savoring this if I'm being real with you. He goes, hey man, let me check and see if I have cash. And so he opens his wallet and I see bills. And I was like, holy shit, Noah's gonna not only not be at fault, but bail me out. This is absurd. He flips through his billfold, pulls out 4 or 5 bills. They're all euros from the time he spent in Rotterdam for TwitchCon EU. At this point, I just want to run full steam head first into the wall. Like a bird flying into a window. I just want to end it. I freak out and go, Jesus Christ, why can't I find anybody with loanable cash? If they give me 40 bucks, I give them 100 back. At which point, Artificer, who's been watching me melt down this whole time, goes, oh, is that the going rate? And pulls out 40 bucks. And I went, are you fucking kidding me? I have fashioned my belt into a noose and was looking for a load-bearing structure, and you had cash the entire time? And Art says, what does that mean to you? So I gotta pay Art for the pumpkin arch with some considerable interest. for a $40 loan that happened yesterday or day before yesterday. But here's why that doesn't matter to me, even though money is fuck off tight right now. I changed the entire mood of my final 36 hours. I took my freshly acquired 40 bucks. I walked back to the hotel. Lucid and Evie, like a handoff in football, hit me in the gut with John's roast pork. It was the best pork sandwich I've ever had in my life. I ate half of it. They did not have broccoli rabe, so they put wilted spinach on it. Yeah, honestly, at that point, JJ, you might as well just run the fucking dead up. Like, why not? This place has been around since 1930. They make their own bread. They have this seasoned pork loin that is super peppery. They shave it. It's just this tiny shack out by that's a Target over there. It's this tiny shack by a Target out on the far east side of Philly. There's a fucking IKEA back this direction. Over by the Delaware River that's been around since the 30s. I always worry that pork like this is going to taste like nothing but the pork. And I know that sounds stupid, but sometimes, man, like there are different kinds of pork flavors. And there's like unseasoned pork, which I don't think is all that good. But then there's like tonkatsu pork, which is a totally different thing. This tasted like seasoned pork and then also was like peppery, like black peppery on the outside. So this black peppery, perfectly cooked pork tenderloin. They didn't have broccoli rabe, so they did wilted spinach. I think that's fine. Broccoli rabe can be a little bitter. They make their own bread.
This is the story of the newest denizen of the cave.
Crispy on the outside, chewy in the middle, and then at this little like divot right here, right at the crease, this is where all the jus got caught. And so every couple bites, I'd hit this part of the bread, bite, and it would just kind of ooze pork jus into my mouth. Oh, it was so good. You tried it.
I did. It was good.
Very tasty. Really tasty.
Mm-hmm. Good to have you back.
I missed you. I was gone multiple days.
Oh no!
Mm-hmm.
Oh no!
I love you, baby.
Love you. Have a good day, everybody.
Cletus tier 3, 81 months. Be right back. Berating my friend for not taking me to John's roast pork when I visited. I didn't learn about it until after I'd left. Honestly, every time I saw this place, I was there on a day it wasn't open, just like shopping it when I lived there. This was the Target that Amber and I would go to when we needed stuff. And it just never looked open. We thought maybe it was the kind of place that was like open during the 80s or like the 60s through the 80s and then just closed and never reopened. No, man, it's one of the most iconic sandwich places in all of Philadelphia, and I just didn't know it, and I just kept showing up at the wrong time. Sham, what's going on, friend? I've been craving banh mi recently. I'm right there with you. I genuinely almost got a banh mi on the fucking Amtrak train yesterday. I talked myself out of it because I knew it would be a disappointment, but it made me realize that banh mi is up here for me right now. Legolas tier 1, 68 months. Sorry I didn't get to hang out this weekend. I got food poisoning from a burger from the market. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that, Legolas. Thank you for the resub. So anyway, I truck half this John's roast pork sandwich, and then I walk down to Angelo's. I get down to Angelo's. Which is like a 1.5 mile walk from my house or from my hotel. It's down by my old apartment near 9th and Pine. It did not exist when Amber and I lived there. It came around in 2013. I get down to Angelo's, cash in hand, 2:30. I order my sandwich. They are on an 1.5 hour wait because they are so busy. I put my order in, I stand out in 31-degree weather, and I wait 90 minutes for my cheesesteak. I didn't get to try their pizza. That would have been cool. Apparently old Dave Portnoy thought it was very, very good. The Jolly Guys called this the best cheesesteak in Philly. Josh Weissman called this the best cheesesteak in Philly. I would have loved to have tried a pie. That shit looks so good. I was on a mission. I was on a mission from God. They also make their own bread in-house. Every other place in Philly gets their bread from 2 suppliers. So it all tastes very samey. Angelo's and John's Roast Pork make their own bread daily. I got mine with onions. I got mine with long hot cheese whiz, which I didn't even know was a thing. I usually go whiz wit. Means cheese whiz with onion. But apparently Angelo's makes their own cheese whiz infused with long hot peppers. So this was the sandwich that I had. So I got half of my John's Roast Pork. I got half of my Angelo's cheesesteak. And then I ate the other half yesterday when I got home from Philly because I kept them in a cooler bag coming back. So I got to share them with Amber. So she got to have a bite of Angelo's and got to have a bite of John's Roast Pork. Oh, that's Sarcone's Bakery. That's just down the road from them. Angelo's is like right down here. I would love to go back and like call in an order and get like pizza and a cheesesteak next time. God damn. Yeah, it fucked so hard. It fucked so hard. And then I got to be happy because I got to have the foods that I wanted. Those were like the only things I wanted for myself that whole trip. After that was over, I rallied and went to this Goblins and Growlers, which is a D&D group that's pretty prominent in the space that's based out of Richmond. And they had a meetup at a hotel bar. And I got to hang out and talk to like Visual Pine and Garrett and Tess, who works with Noah, and Artificer and Sachi. Had a couple of mules. And then we decided it was time to do dinner. Let me see if I can find this place. Oh, just right back to a photograph of super sexy flame goat. No big deal. Let me find where I posted it. Fuck yeah, dude. We were gonna go to a soup dumpling place, but Garrett talked us into going to a legitimate Sichuan restaurant. Trying to see if I can find like, we'll try Google reviews. I just want to see, give me photos, show me photos. There we go. We walked in, table full of white people. They stuck us in the far back so we wouldn't embarrass them. It was the kind of place, chat, that the menu was like 12 pages long, and the very last page on the menu was American style Chinese food, and it had like 12 things on it. It was like, here's your General Tso's, you bunch of idiots. And then otherwise, it was lamb chops, chicken intestines, we got this, which was the spicy shredded beef, mapo tofu. We got pork belly. It was crazy. There's like a Christmas tree. They had this like cylinder with like rods sticking out of it, and then it was shaved pork belly and then lengthwise shaved cucumber on top of it, and you grab it with your chopsticks, and then there was a little bowl of sauce. You dip it in on top and eat it. We got this. No, that's chicken feet. We got something comparable to this that was just fried chicken. We got the mapo tofu. That was exceptional. I ate most of that. Yeah, this place was fucking nuts. It was so good. This was another one of like Noah's spiritual awakenings. We ate soup dumplings. We ate pork and crab soup dumplings. We ate pork soup dumplings. We had a couple of appetizers. We had a couple of dishes that went around. We had lamb chops, like cumin dusted lamb chops. And we all were kind of looking around going like, damn, I think we're done. And so as the guy walks over, we had the cabbage. As the guy walks over, our server, he says like, hey, do you guys need anything else? Is there anything else I can do for you? And we're about to ask for the check. And Noah goes, I'd like an order of the spare ribs and another order of soup dumplings. And we all just kind of slow turned towards him. And we're like, what? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know when I'm going to be back here. And I have to have that. So we had another order of fucking spare ribs come out. And then another basket of soup dumplings. It was very good. It was very, very good. Oh, it's making me hungry right now. Some chicken trotters. We did not get chicken trotters. But no, we got this. This was it. We got the crispy Sichuan style chicken. This shit was excellent. We trucked this. Noah liked this and the shredded beef so much. There were so many peppers on the plate that he took meat and hid it underneath the peppers so that other people wouldn't find it unless they actively looked, so he could revisit it later. And he admitted to his dubious works at the end of the meal, where he goes in and uses his fucking chopsticks and starts brushing aside peppers, and the next thing you know, there's this little mound of meat. And he starts like, he's like, everyone done with this? And we were all like, yeah, sure, man, it's just nothing but peppers. And he cleans all these peppers off and goes, okay, good, and starts trucking meat. And we're like, wow, there was a lot of meat under that pile of peppers. And he goes, yeah, I know, I hid it there. He was like, I figured if anybody wanted it enough to look, I would, I wouldn't fight that. But if you guys weren't willing to like actually dig for it, then I was gonna squirrel this away. I was gonna squirrel this away. And eat it at my own pace. So anyway, that was Noah's first ever experience with like a full-blown legitimate Sichuan place. And he has decided that he is a lover of Sichuan. Oh god, apocalyptic. I was trucking peppers. I was eating peppers and Sichuan peppercorns until my fucking mouth was electrified. So nummy. So nummy. Next day I woke up, I finished off what was left of the cold pizza out of the fridge as my breakfast. We loaded up. I encouraged the Panthers. Apparently not enough. Then we took the train home, and Noah and I, okay, so this is the business part. And I feel like I can sum this up for us in a couple of sentences. Noah, I'm sure if he comes in an hour or two, will want to tell you like more in-depth stuff. Noah and I are working on a supplementary D&D book, fantasy book. And I've talked about it before, but now that it's kind of out in the world, I don't want to talk about it too terribly much, because now we've got an idea that we have to guard. But he came to me with an idea, and I was like, shit, that actually feels like a good idea. So we went and talked to John, who I believe is the head of partnerships at Kickstarter, and took a meeting with him because Noah's friends with everybody. So we go to the Voodoo Ranger Lounge and we're talking about it, and he's like, I think this sounds like a good idea. This feels like the kind of thing that you could kickstart. He's like, but I'm not the guy to ask. Let me take you to a couple of tastemakers in the space. And I don't know that I necessarily want to finger point at exactly who. But we ended up talking to I talked with Noah to 2 publishers, one of whom actually said, Momo, this is a really cool idea and it fits in with the kind of stuff we publish. Our Kickstarter schedule is filled up through 2025, but if y'all want to punt it to Q1 2026, we really could talk once you and Taffy produce some proof of concept pages that we could use as bait, as the carrot at the end of the stick for people who would contribute. We went to another publisher, and he was like, we were explaining it, and he was kind of like, oh, okay. And then Noah gave one like very specific example of like the deep idiosyncratic granular deep dive stuff that this book would address, and the guy's eyes flicker and he went, oh shit, that's cool. And then as we were talking to him, he started going like, I touched on this kind of stuff in some of my books, but he's like, as far as I know, nobody's ever written an entire like volume about it. And he went and grabbed his books and started flipping it open and was showing us. He's like, yeah, I did that here and here and here. And then in this book, I did it here, here, and here, but I'd never thought about anybody doing like an entire book like that. Noah apparently went and talked to 2 other people who were on board, and apparently had a positive exchange with somebody from Wizards who was like, you should take my card and we should stay in touch. So on the train ride back, we spent 3 of the 4 hours, and Noah had his laptop out on the train and actually linked up a monitor that I held like a big ass tablet. And Noah and I sat there and worked on the outline for like 3 hours. Yeah, Momo for sure. We're shopping artists now. Which is cool because I'm talking to Pat, and Pat has worked with people who have been like Marvel artists and MTG artists. So like we're talking to some legit fantasy artists about what it might cost to get proof of concept and then lock them in if it gets kickstarted for like 6 or 7 figures. I love when people get all excited about their hyperfixations. I was on board, but I didn't know that maybe it had financial legs, Alyssa, until I watched like nerds in the space get excited, and I was like, oh, that feels good. Like, I love watching nerds get excited. Like, watching people feel passionate about their hyperfixations, I'm right there with you. It's like ASMR to me. Like, I just go all like gooey. I'm like, oh, I love that you're thrilled. I don't even know what you're thrilled about necessarily, but I'm so on board.